Hey everyone, welcome back to Conversations in Pop Culture, and we are back in the saddle once again for another season. And I have with me Cosplayer and the Geek. So welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you for having me.
No, I am very excited to have you on, and I do want to talk about a bunch of your cosplays. But before we get into that, I am super curious how you got into cosplay, because I think you're a little bit of a newer cosplay.
Actually, I've probably been doing this longer than most people, but it's just never been out there because I've been behind the scenes. I grew up in San Diego. I've been going to San Diego Comic Con since I was really little. I don't even remember what year, but I can tell you it was probably the 80s, early 90s. I am going to be 45 next month. So a lot of people don't realize that. And I remember it being cosplay before it was being called cosplay. It's just going and dressing up and having fun, a great character. I remember going one time, I think it was in 1992 or 93. It was at the hotel. It was at one of the hotels in Hotel Circle. That's where they held con then. And at that point, and walking around, and I just knew people. I knew creators. I knew the artist, and I just was very much in love with their art. And of course, a child of the 90s, I was very much into X-Men. That was my jam. And so I would, what I guess what they call now bounding, it was more kind of inspired and everything back then. But there were times where it's just creating a complete costume just to have fun and be around my friends who were also really big into comics as well. So, but my passion kind of drew more towards interviewing creators, interviewing, speaking with, doing a little write up on them. And so for many years, I was doing that. I'd be going to con on a press pass and speaking with a bunch of artists, and that was my heart and soul. But the part that was most difficult was that many of the times I couldn't dress up because I was on the job, so to speak. So Sunday was always my day for dress up and always for cosplay, but it wasn't something that I really presented to the world. I'm actually pretty shy when it comes to being in front of the camera. I like being behind the camera. I've taken many photos. I've done many photo shoots with people where I'm behind the camera. So it's a little bit less often that you see me in front of it until more recently, until last year, actually, even the year before. When I decided just to start putting myself out there because I had so many friends in the industry and so many people that are cosplayers that said, just do it and put yourself out there. And I just didn't realize that it was going to be going the direction that it was and having so much fun with it. So yes, and as far as what people see, they see me as just recently stepping into it, but it's been a long time ever since Strawberry Shortcake and Rainbow Bright. I'm not saying there's pictures out there, but there could be pictures out there of that.
So let's actually talk about this, because this is interesting. Is that cosplay in 2023,
Mhm.
and I like to call it the post-COVID era cosplay, where it has obviously changed. There's been a lot of gates that have been torn down
Mhm.
in a lot of ways, and a lot of what I think has happened is that it's become normal again, for lack of a better word. I don't know if that's the correct way I do it. I don't know if it's the political correct way how to say it, but I think it's become fun again, which was cosplay is supposed to be, and the intention and the monetization of it is still there, but the power has shifted more, I feel, to the fandom once again. And what is this like for you to now be part of it and be more out there in what I think is sort of that fun era where cosplay is more positive and some of the toxicity has gotten out of it?
Yes, that was probably one of the main reasons why I did it in the background. I would cosplay in the background because it used to be a toxic environment on different levels where it was seemed to be accepted, like going into a con and getting groped, going to a con and um, just striking up a conversation and being hit on. And not that that's toxic, but it was just something that was progressive all the time. Now a cosplayer can go no matter what, who they are, how they want to dress, who they want to portray, and they could be in a comfortable environment and be accepted into it. Um, I love, love the fact that when I go to a con and a little girl or a little boy will come up to me and they're just fascinated by who I am for that day and want to talk to me about that. And it's just perpetuating that positivity into them in hopes that one day they say, I want to dress just like you. I'm like, great. Well, let me see how I can help you get into that as well. So I think with this newer era, there's a lot more support. It's not that I'm still don't see some of the little things that go on as far as that goes. You'll still see the randoms going by with the phone and kind of like trying to go a little bit lower than what's necessary to get a picture. But then also, sometimes there's people out there that are going to like this last WonderCon, you're still always going to get those people out there with the signs and the bullhorns yelling at you while you're trying to get group shots. But for the most part, everybody is just so positive and accepting and supportive, but also trying to encourage each other as well. Like, I have this great idea. Great, go with it, do it. So being in this time and as being a cosplayer is probably so ideal, especially for anybody who's new wanting to get into it as well. There's so many options out there of how to acquire or make or tutorials and get that costume ready for whatever you want it to be for, whether it be just online pictures or to an event, or like what I love to do is I love to go to charity events and be for the kids.
It's also just a fascinating time to be at anime cons, comic cons.
Hmm.
And I haven't been at one in a while. The last one I was obviously was before COVID, and my business and what I do has shifted. And not saying I won't go back, but it is fascinating to be at those now because they have shifted. And I
Hmm.
think that, people are more into that now. And I think people also are more appreciative. At least that's how I see it. And I think it's also the idea, I think that making a cosplay and also buying a cosplay has shifted too, where I've seen a lot of that, and that's the negativity that I've seen. Obviously,
Hmm.
I'm a guy, so I don't see it from the female perspective, but I've seen both men and women berate people for buying a cosplay and wearing it, not competing in it, just saying, I don't want to make it and I want to buy it and be criticized for it. And now I don't see that all that often,
You
and I
don't
don't think it
see
exists
it.
as much.
Yeah, you don't see it as often. I mean, there still are those gatekeepers who want to keep things at a purity level, or that want to like saying, oh, well, the effort is just not there. I'm sorry, but just researching and looking into seeing what your cosplay is going to be out, how it's going to fit you. Um, Even if you buy something, it never comes in fitting you. And it's always there's always going to be some kind of adjustment to make it to you. And whether you buy or make it, because I do both. I buy and I also sew and I make a lot of costuming. But there's certain things I know I have weaknesses on. Like, I do not 3D print. You think I'm going to that's just not my forte. I will leave that to the people and the friends who have that ability, and I will hire them for that process. And whether that makes it less on me for do that, I don't think so, because now here I am perpetuating and helping a business of a friend or somebody that I know that has that passion to make something for me. And so I love it that there's more options out there. There's so many websites where you can find different costumes of different styles and finding the one that's going to be you and be best for you.
I
So,
mean, I'll be very honest. I probably there's a cosplay I want to do, and I want to do Hunk from Resident Evil. I love Hunk. I want to do it the right way, and I'm not gonna make it. I'm gonna order it, and I'm
mhm,
gonna build it piece by piece, ordering it. And I want to do like the ultimate Hunk, thing with his P9, and 3D printed like to the T, and it's going to be expensive, and I have no problem paying for it piece by piece by piece. And I don't think me putting it together and piecing it, that's an art in of itself.
it really is.
I'm not interested in competing. I just want people to be like, oh my god, just stop and be like, dude, like, what's up? And then I want to be like, I'm sorry, I can't. I have to go get the G virus, and just start talking like it, and like have it recorded. Oh, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be hilarious. But I think that's an art, and I think there's a real skill in that too. Is
It is.
piecing a cosplay together and doing it affordable. And I think that's more accepted now than ever before. And I think it's a real art, as I stated. And I can't wait to do it because I'm gonna enjoy it. And I'm lazy. I'm not gonna lie. I understand that for me to make it will cost way more than for me to piece it out and have somebody else do it who's an expert in that area. And I think I think 5 years ago it was frowned upon. And I think today it's encouraged. And I think it's a great thing.
Oh, definitely go on Instagram, and I have so many people that I've connected with that are prop makers and that specialize in different things. Like one gentleman, he makes just the shoe toe covers, for boots and everything, and he's fantastic at it, and that's his forte. So why wouldn't I want to spread that around for those who might want that as well? And it's just like, for example, right now I'm working on for San Diego Comic Con, I'm working on making a Madeline Pryor Goblin Queen costume, making two of them, one that I can turn into like the Hellfire Gala, and then one that's just her most recent one, which is really great. And but can I make the crown? There's no one out there that has a crown to sell. There's no way I'm going to I don't even know how to start, how to start making that as well. Can I sew the rest of it? Yes, I can do that perfectly well on my own. But that crown piece, I mean, that's going to set it off, and that's her signature. So of course, I'm going to trust it to somebody else who can make it a lot better than I can. Than probably getting modeling clay trying to figure it out.
I mean, look, I am a writer, and I'm going to be producing a comic book. I can't draw. I'm going to hand that over to somebody who can, and they're going to handle my baby very, very, very nicely. I'm going to manage them, not micromanage them. I want to make that crystal clear, but definitely going to manage them. But I'm not going to tell somebody who's an expert in a sector how to do their job when I don't know how to do it and I'm not an expert. Much like I have expertise in certain areas, and you're damn right nobody's gonna tell me how to do my job as in my areas of expertise. So yeah, but I think I mean I like the cosplay community a lot more than I like it 5 years ago, to be honest. I think it's
And
better. I'm not a cosplayer, so I find it's easier to interact now than it was 5 years ago. Just as a
that And there's an acceptance of, I think, differences. I think that's the one thing that I've seen. Um, my background is in special education. My 23-year-old son is high spectrum autistic, and as well as many of my friends are. And I think the fact that many of them feel a little bit more safe to come out and express themselves and be able to show what they like and be a part of that has been a really beautiful thing. Um, it's it's always amazing to see somebody who can pay attention to all the details that go into a costume and will point it out to me. You know what? That should be on the other side. I'm like, oh my gosh, I wasn't thinking about it from mirror image. Thank you. So all have our ways to be able to contribute into helping to each other without it being a toxic environment. So that's what I'm really grateful for.
Yeah, and I mean, I could talk about this all day, but I don't want to get too controversial. I have my horror stories with enough people, and I have friends both on the high end and the low end as far as Instagram followers. And I've heard enough horror stories and I think things are changing. And I think COVID has been a great reset. And I think it's a net benefit for pop culture collectively. It's a net benefit
Definitely.
for wrestling too, where it has reset the parameters and it has taken a lot of power that was way overdriven to the top 50 cosplayers. That's a controversial thing, and I think it's lowered their influence and their, I guess, positioning. And I have a business partner who DJ Croft, who's a good friend of mine. And if it wasn't for COVID, I don't think he would be getting the opportunities he's getting right now. And so I know plenty of people who are getting opportunities because of what I like to call the great, I guess, reset or the finish line. Everybody's now at the finish line because of COVID again. So, or the starting line, my bad. But anyway, I do want to talk about your cosplays, which are the
Sure.
fun stuff. And I do want to talk about DC first because you have far less of those than anything else.
Of which one? I'm sorry.
DC Comics. You have
Oh,
far less DC
I
comic
I
cosplays.
do. I mean, I think my WonderCon is showing with Harley Quinn, so it's kind of a tradition that I always do a Harley Quinn for. Yep, that was 2022, and then I did Harley Quinn the Suicide Squad, Red and Black. But I also have it hidden in the closet. I have a couple of other Harley Quinn costumes that I haven't brought out yet. Maybe one of them being the black and gold.
I've gone through your Instagram. I've gone through some of your other stuff that I found online, and you have far less of DC Comics publicly than any other cosplay out there that you've done.
And I promise there's more to be coming out. I am currently working on Enchantress, and I have, yeah, actually, I probably have 5 different DC projects going all at once right now. So it's very difficult for me to kind of like think of what am I going to put out. But I do know for San Diego Comic Con, there will definitely be a DC, especially since I'm going to be able to attend more than one day this year. And but DC also is a big part of my heart. I mean, like I said, I grew up 90s, so I had X-Men and then I had Batman. So Harley started that passion way back then and has grown from there. And Enchantress is because I've always had a fascination with just her and her abilities and how she fit into the universe. So it's just one of those things that I'll be doing hopefully very soon. So DC is coming, I promise. And then also other little things. I really love Doctor Who, so I don't post a lot of pictures of that, but I was part of this association that was so much fun. And I did Rose Tyler all the time. And they say, okay, come on, do your Rose, do your Rose. And she was such an easy cosplay. Nobody would know who I was until I was there. And then they realized, oh my gosh, I had a 8-year-old boy propose to me on one knee. And he was wearing this beautiful Rose Tyler kind of shirt with all her different poses. And then on the front, it said Bad Wolf. And so, I mean, I have so many different sides of different things I love to be able to do. I just time, work, and life sometimes takes a seat in the front limelight, and I have to take a seat with some of the others, and so I have to really carefully calculate what it is. But with WonderCon, I thought I did a pretty good job. I did one day Marvel and one day DC, so.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that Marvel one, and I think I know which one it is, and we're going to drop it in there. And this one's special to my heart.
Oh, yep, my Miss Rogue.
So I have a friend who does a fantastic rogue, and you might know his artwork. It's Greg Bo Watson,
Uh-huh, definitely.
and his profile art page is something that's coming in June for May.
Oh, wow.
So I am part of his entire trading card set that he just put out.
Oh, that's so cool.
and I picked up a limited run 25 of Rogue. That's not safe for work. I'll be the first to say it. I'll be the first to say it. I buy and sell things on eBay, guys, and I run an eBay business on the side, and I do a lot of comic work. And I have a Rogue X-Men not safe for work card coming, limited to 25. But I digress. I love Rogue. She's right now probably the hottest character in Marvel, hands
I
down.
think
Her
so.
and Gambit are killing it. And yeah, what was this like doing her? And that's, I think, like a short reel that you did, a clip from that. And yeah, so
Well, you know, you can how can you have Rogue without having a tushy shot? So I'm
you could
talking
say it.
about
I can't.
I don't know how many correct requests I have for a certain issue of or certain cartoon back in the 90s where she's laying down and it's the epic, you know, tushy shot. So I'm like, when are you going to recreate that? I'm like, well, okay, well, we'll see. I think there's enough out there right now, so maybe we'll wait on it a little bit. But it always seems to be a fan favorite.
But that's another one. Obviously, that's the same one right there, the Rogue, and obviously she's right now a really hot character. So, what is that like for you to cosplay? As I was stating, though, like the hottest Marvel character that's
Well,
making them bank, and everybody loves her. And also, there's real speculation on what they're going to do in Phase 5. I think with the X
mhm.
Men coming in, and it's crystal clear that Rogue is going to have a big part and hopefully, I mean, who knows what Marvel's going to do, but it's kind of perceived, I guess, or they're hinting at it, sort of, maybe,
I I
hopefully.
think so. I'm hoping so. You know, my first and original love is my Emma Frost, just because, just like Harley Quinn. Yep, there she is. um, I love a good morally ambiguous character. I like somebody who likes to toe the line, maybe sometimes switch and go back and forth, but always kind of comes back to that real world person. But when I had the opportunity to play Rogue and dress as her, I'm like, wait a minute. She's so sassy and she has so many moments of those same real aha moments. And how could I not feel her in my soul as well? So when I put on that costume and I got to WonderCon, I'm like, this is me. This is what I was. I have to have that sass and I have to have that walk. And so um, I I met up with so many other rogues that day as well, both men, women, however they identified. We just all had this fascination just with the sass that Rogue is and that fun. And the few gamuts that I ran into as well, they were just really coming together for that fan and elevating it to the next level of like, hey, this is what's coming next. We are it. So just being able to have that day and be a part of that was just pretty fantastic. And just seeing all the smiling faces and the younger generation, because the younger generations are now starting to catch wind as well. So just seeing that has been kind of a very fun ride to see, especially as I put out more pictures and more videos.
Yeah, it's interesting because comics are in a weird place right now, as far as affordability, access to them. I hate to use the word accessibility, but comics are not accessible to the point of even just easily finding them. There are parents who have never heard or don't even know where a comic shop is.
Hmm.
They might know what a graphic novel is in a Barnes and Noble, but I have a feeling a bunch of parents, especially new parents, might not even know where a Barnes and Noble is or another bookstore is. And so it's really interesting that there's this whole new generation that knows Rogue and Gambit. And I have my theories why, but there's all these comic variants that are doing them and they're killing it. David Nakayama did a great job on one for, I think, Anti Hero Gallery, that company. And then Mount Olympus did their version. And they didn't I think they did with Patriotica of all people. Great character, so many ways. But what is that like for you? That you have? I mean, I'm 30. You're a little bit older than me, but I'm not in this new generation, but I'm not in this old generation either. I'm like in between. It's weird. It's like it's so weird because I'm not a '90s kid. I was born in '93, but I don't remember the '90s. I remember the 2000s. Like my Batman is Batman Beyond. Like
Hmm.
awesome. Batman Beyond was dope.
Well, I think what a lot is this is the age of information, and there's so many influencers, there's so many podcasts, there's so many people out there that are now doing throwbacks to that generation and bringing back this new spark of like 90s music, 90s clothes. So what people were doing the previous generation and then kind of embarking on like, hey, look at those 70s disco era, you know, and then every single era has their different things. So I think just with the age of information, and there's being so many people out there that are sharing their passions, you're seeing that trend of like, oh gosh, look at all these things that I missed back when I wasn't maybe even live.
I mean, I'm guilty of it. Believe me. I mean, I'm a weird podcaster because I get to interview people like Danny O'Neill, and I've done Chuck Dixon, who created Bane, and I've done, Tom DeFalco ran Marvel for 11 years, and Paul Levitz was a professor of mine who ran DC Comics forever. And then, I go backwards and I go forwards, and then it's the weirdest thing ever. And, I also read a lot of old comics now because they're really good. They're really good. And I hate to say this, but part of Marvel and part of DC right now is not great. I think people are sort of going backwards I go back to the Teen Titans in the 80s, and that stuff is
Exactly.
amazing. It's amazing. And then, the X-Men, Claremont's X-Men, and then Scott Lobdell took it over. That stuff was amazing.
And that's the thing, you can look at all these different golden eras of, comics. I mean, I actually love golden eras. I don't haven't posted it and I haven't put it up because I haven't really done any great photo shoots yet, just, phone clips. But I have, she's called Golden Girl. It was Betsy Ross. She was Captain America's original girlfriend. So a lot of people don't realize that. She was a waitress turned spy. And she was just this really, really fun character. And it was during this time where you can just pick up the comics and just read and have a good time. And I think a lot of people are starting to do that. They can start seeing where these collections are, and people are now recommending, start here and go here and go here and go here because truthfully, people can get lost trying to get into comics and not know where to stop or start. And, people always have their opinions, but it's great. There's so much research out there and showing people, you like this and you like this concept and you like this artwork. So why don't you try this? And they can do that now. And as far as the children and the kids starting to learn, I mean, manga and anime are just so prevalent. My kids, they touched upon comics, but anime is where they're at. As soon as Crunchyroll became a thing, that was it.
I'm a big Crunchyroll user. I'm a big manga reader. I mean, I go back to Tezuka.
Oh,
I go
really?
deep. I go deep.
Wow.
I go golden age anime deep. And I'm fortunate enough that manga was a gateway to comics for me. I
And
was reading manga when I was 10, 11. Really got into it probably a little bit earlier, and I was watching anime when I was like 6. And I turned out perfectly fine. I turned out perfectly fine, but I was also reading, big books, but it didn't hurt me
no,
in which that it made me a better reader, which is crazy.
exactly. Veracity for reading is just that. No matter what type it is, it's still reading. And, my kids, they had all the Harry Potter collection and they have read it by a very early age. And I'm like, okay, well, this is great. Let's see what else we can do. So I started introducing them more and more into things, getting graphic novels that would be appropriate at that time for them. And then, showing them along the ways, and even back then. So one thing I haven't posted probably except for in my stories is that I do professional belly dancing as well. So my kids were always exposed to fun and excitement and entertainment in some way, knowing that that's what it was entertainment. And when I said when it comes to reading, though, I don't care. Just pick up a book and love it. I don't know how many pictures I have of my kids just sitting there like, hey, let's get a picture of you. Nope, I'm just going to be reading. And especially for this newer generation, even though a lot of it is online, it's still reading. It's still enjoying something that people are being creative and putting out there in storylines and pushing those boundaries of what their imagination can take them to the next level. And it's just like with San Diego Comic Con, anime is just the week before, and it seems like now that's starting to sell out quicker or just as fast as San Diego Comic Con, and I think that goes to a lot to be said for that push of anime and manga. So yeah,
It's very interesting. American manga is killing it. My friend Tyler Carpenter does The Girl with the Mega Fist, and he's killing it right now because it's awesome. Then I have a friend who does a book called Shotgun Samurai. If you have a book called Shotgun Samurai and that book doesn't do 10,000 on Kickstarter or Indiegogo, there's something wrong. Everybody needs to read Shotgun Samurai just on a basic concept. It's meant for like a 12-year-old and upwards. There's nothing nudity about it. Obviously the guy is carrying a shotgun instead of a samurai sword. And I said to
Mhm.
him, dude, you picked the wrong medium. You should be making movies about this. And you should be making B movies on like $10,000, and you will make so much more money than anything else because it will become a cult type of movie. And it's the type of movie that everybody watches on their Friday with their friends, maybe half drunk in college, and you're having a good time. But like, it's a great book because it's brilliant. But again, those books are killing it because they're done in the manga style, and it's
Mhm.
crystal clear to me, and it raises concerns. But I do want to get back to at least one or two more of your cosplays
Sure.
because I am a big fan of the Punisher, and I have a friend who's controversial right now, Mike Barron, but he did write the Punisher really well, so it's all right. It's all right. But I do love the Punisher, and then I know Tom Rash, who did Punisher 2099, and Tom wrote the Punisher too. So I like the Punisher. I thought he did a good job where he continued the fight after Cap took a knee, and a shot to the head. Too soon, everybody. Too soon. I'm
Well,
sorry. Civil War was so good. It was
I
so
know it
good.
really was. It really was. So, but funny thing about this Punisher shoot and this in general, this was for my birthday. So this was for me to get out of my shell and just put out what I am feeling in that moment. And so what happened is that on my current Instagram, I had another account that was unfortunately hacked and it was deleted. So that was actually one of the first
Feel you.
cosplays I
I
had put
feel you
out.
on that. My
Yeah,
account just got hacked and I got it back. And oh my God, what a stressful situation. Oh, it was terrible. Found out like 9 people were on my account. And then I had to like delete all of them. And oh man, but nothing bad happened. I was just like, I was booking like 6 interviews that week, and then I had to like find ways how to get out. It was bad. It was bad. I got
mm,
it back. I changed it to got like my two authentic authentication. So I feel you. I feel you completely, and never again. Where if I see something suspicious, just delete it right away. Just get it right out.
exactly. And
I
and
feel you.
unfor-
I feel you so much.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm not sure how it happened because I have two-factor authorization and authentication, and um, I,
It's
I
not. You're never gonna figure out. They're gonna get you. They're gonna get everybody eventually, and
exactly.
that is just gonna happen. It's gonna happen, And it doesn't matter how good you are, how safe you are. I'm relatively safe too. I got caught, and that's what it is. It has
Yep.
nothing to do with, and it gets worse. It gets worse. I have a friend who his Facebook thing got hacked, and it was
Mhm.
linked to the PayPal. So what wound up
Jeez.
happening is that these hackers found a loop where they pinged it, and they got into all these people, and they started using, because you connect your PayPal to your Facebook, and so they started sending money to their personal like pages and
Mm.
stuff on his PayPal. So they're gonna get you. They're gonna get
Yeah.
you, everybody. What you hope is that it's not bad.
Exactly. Well, I mean, I had just, had that account, and I mean, I had it for a little bit, and I had been building up slowly, but, um, probably one of my first posts on my Instagram account, well, no, it was a couple ones in there because I just started really rebuilding, was when I was at the Prey, premiere for, Netflix, and, I was actually on the way there, and all of a sudden, I couldn't get into my account anymore, and it said, "Oh, there's something going on with your account. Is this you?" The next thing I know, it was completely gone, and, it was really disheartening, but talk about the, support of the community. When I redid my account, put my little underscore at the end of it. I reached out to all the people that had been supporting me at this point. I mean, I only had a couple hundred followers at that point when when my account was because I wasn't really pushing it. I was just having fun. And I was just connecting with friends and people in the community. And next thing you know, I let them know, and I'm telling you, people who I'd had selfies with, and people I had connected with, they all started putting stories out there saying, "Listen, go follow her. Let's help her rebuild. Let's help her rebuild." I was so flabbergasted and honored and humbled all at the same time, and I had built it, um, because I really do believe in connecting with people. I would say majority of the people that are on my account with that I follow and they following me back, I have had some kind of connection with them. I thank them. For liking something of mine and ask them, what they do as well. So it next thing you know, it's just kept growing and growing and growing. And like I said, I wouldn't ever say that I'm going to be some person out there that's going to hit it like some of these other cosplayers, but it's just for me, it's about the connection and the people out there and having fun and learning and but just that camaraderie that I have within the community. So just something that was so negative that really, really hurt me turned into something so beautiful.
It's interesting that you bring that up, because I buy into a lot of comics. I got a lot of interviews because I'm gonna say it, and I'm gonna say it's gonna sound not exactly the greatest thing, but I'm not an asshole in life. And, I give a shit about the comic community. I give a shit about cosplayers. I care about voice acting, and I care about pop culture. And I get business. And obviously, one of the reasons why I was late is that I was working on a comic deal to pick up merch at a little bit of a discount. And the reason why I get those things is that I'm not a dick. And it's a weird thing where there's been plenty of interviews that I've gotten that I should not have been in the room, but I'm not a dick about it. And if you act a certain way and function and you care, and people can pick it up very easily, it's very surprising how the community responds to you. Mostly, there's always going to be the haters. Yeah,
Mhm.
there's no way to put that, but it's fascinating that you were sort of shocked about it, but you don't seem like a bad person. You seem like you care. And so it's just like one of those things where it's just like, I think people want to be around people who are genuine. And I think there's this whole issue of authenticity. I'm going to throw two names out there that are going to get me probably in trouble. Joe Rogan is one, and Patrick Bet David. And whether you like Patrick Bet David or Joe Rogan, the one thing that you can't say about either one of those guys is that they're not authentic in what they do. And
Mhm.
there's a real level of authenticity that is going on. You could say a lot of things about a lot of other people, but I think that's a massive thing that's going on right now in every aspect of our society, and in particular in creative spaces, is that who is authentic and who isn't. And when that gets put down, people want to do business with me, not because I have the biggest following, but they're like, you're authentic. And that's something that I'm learning. And I'm seeing it a lot more right now. And it just happened in the last like month.
Oh,
So
wow.
it's fascinating because I think like that's kind of what you're touching on a little bit, which is interesting.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, a lot of the people that I have these connections with, they're all very authentic people. I mean, don't get me wrong, we all have life. We all have our ups and we all have our downs. We all have our idiosyncrasies and like the little quote fingers. And so we all have this part of it. But I think that just the fact that people are just a little bit more genuine and maybe a little bit more open and um, a lot of people don't realize that I'm pretty introverted. Um, I always put on even on my profile, my Myers-Briggs is INFJ. I probably toe the line more on the ambiverted side, but um, it's very hard for me to be in a light. It's very hard for me to I'd rather get to know somebody else and I rather um, appreciate them than it's a little bit harder when people show me appreciation. I'm getting used to it, and I'm very thankful, and especially with a lot of the people that like I said, that are friends that I connect with, and but it people don't realize that I'm sitting back there behind the scenes, like, oh gosh.
Oh, this is so interesting. There's so many things. I don't even know what I am anymore.
You
Because
change.
it's weird in which that I don't even know if I'm introverted or extroverted. Um, at this point, I'm like a mixture, but I also don't
Mhm.
care. Like I'm at the point where like I don't want to talk about pop culture with people. Like I would rather talk about money and finance. I find that's a little bit more interesting, and I got no problem going on a podcast that has or podcast/radio that's syndicated to 15,000 people talking about finance for an hour, and I've done that. But somebody's like, "You want to come on my pop culture podcast?" And I'm like, "Kind of, but not really." Like, because I'm like, I got nothing to say. It's like, I mean, if somebody invited me on their show like tomorrow night, I'd be there. Actually, no, that's not true. I'm actually going to the movies tomorrow night. But if they invited me on Friday, I'd be there. But like, it's just weird. Like, I'm both. It's so odd. But
Mhm.
like, also I'm selective on media for me, where I really like to be quiet most of the time, and I like to shut up and listen.
Mhm.
But that's why I'm an interviewer, because I like letting my guests speak.
And I'm kind of the same way, you know, my job by day, I have to constantly ask questions and problem solve and work with families and working with people that have dementia, and that can be very difficult trying to gather information. So a lot of the time it's investigators. So I just go back to my journalistic ways of trying to figure out how to come to a solution. Um, so by the time that I'm done with my day, I come home. I'm still waiting to watch Mandalorian right now. So
I
and
guarantee you.
that's my downtime.
Oh man, see, I'm like the opposite. I got a feeling that I'm gonna have to become like a force of reckoning at my job. I'm not gonna be like, but it's long overdue. I'm already doing it in my daily life. It's coming about anyway. This is like a steam train rolling down, and it's coming, and people gonna be like, we don't like the new Andrew, guys. And I'm like, well, I don't like the old Andrew, and this is what's going on. And if you don't like it, everybody get out. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be fun when people see that Andrew. But I digress. I do want to talk about one more cosplay before we talk
Sure.
about photography, because we
Oh,
have a
yeah.
mutual, I guess, friend now. And no, it's not Thor. I just want to make that crystal clear. But this is a really cool shot.
Yes, with Mighty Thor. So, I was very, honored to be able to go to the Hollywood premiere and meet quite a all the celebrities that
Which
showed up.
one?
I'm
Thor.
sorry?
Which Thor?
Which Thor? So Love and Thunder I went to, and the most recent one, so I got to meet Chris Pratt and Chris Hemsworth and got to meet, yeah, pretty much the whole staff and everybody that kind of like are the cast and they all kind of walk through. And I haven't put up a lot of pictures of, actually, I don't think I have any pictures up. That was on my old profile. So maybe I'll be doing that again. And I love though when the one that I have with Christian Bale, and he, I think, was the most sw- sweet and humble person that walked the line that day. I mean, don't get me wrong, Chris Hemsworth, he was one of the first people there, and he was one of the last people to end the red carpet because he was doing signatures and talking and just having a generally great time. But with Christian Bale, he just sat, he just stood there and with his lovely accent, and we just had a very pleasant conversation. And it wasn't like he felt like he was rushed or do anything. He was just there in the moment, enjoying it. So, talk about my DC meets Marvel fantasies come
I,
true.
I, I I can't take Thor: Love and Thunder. It was rough. It was rough for me. And if I never get invited to a Marvel premiere because I said that, I will happily take that L. I will happily take the L. Me and my friend went to go see it, and we're like, "Oh my gosh, it was bad. It was bad for us. We had a really bad experience." And then
Oh.
it was not good. Thor 3 was good. Thor 2 was good. Thor 1 was good. Thor, eh. But
I've
then
heard so many controversies, but the thing is that we went in there to have fun, and we had a lot of fun. I mean, screaming goats. I mean, I love fainting goats. I mean, I've been a fan of fainting goats since my friend back in Virginia. She had the very first herd there, and the first time I saw one of her goats faint, I just like, this is it. So, and then the first time I heard one of the goats scream, I'm like, okay, this is my life. I became obsessed with goats. So, um, yes, I understand that a lot of people had the controversy saying, okay, well, this kind of went a little bit just too
oh,
comical and too
it wasn't
fun.
even that. It wasn't even that. I didn't find that we talk about the why with the villain, right? I
Mhm,
didn't think the why was there. So you go to King the Destroyer, there's a why that's there. You go to Ultron, there's a why. You go to Thanos, there's a why. I didn't feel like Christian Bale's character had a strong enough why. I think
mhm,
it would like that was my problem. There was no driving force, and I felt like you could have had 15 good Thor stories, and like there was no why where I didn't find the villain to be a real threat, and I didn't find like anything to be justifiable in the movie. It wasn't even like half the scenes that everybody was the scene that people weren't happy with. That didn't bother me. The thing that bothered me is that there was no impetus,
mm,
like, and I'm like, we're destroying God worlds, like really, like I don't find Christian Bale's character to be a real threat after Thanos or King, and that's how I view it. But that's just me. That's just me. I mean, it wasn't bad acting. It was just not a good story, and I
well,
got
the
no
threat was
problem.
behind the scenes. It wasn't in front, and I think they could have probably done something more to bring that to the light and to the front of the
The,
story
the, the
versus
way they
behind the
should have
scenes.
solved it is somebody should have been like, "Good job writing the script. We're gonna put this on the fridge. You go crank out another one tomorrow." Chalk it up as a creative miscarriage, and we would have been great. That's how it should have been played out completely. Just did a great job. Here's a gold star. Hit it tomorrow harder. Would have been great. And I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I have a real passion project about this movie, and it was rough.
Well, either way, the premiere was absolutely fantastic. It was an
Without a doubt,
amazing night. It was
I
hot. It
believe
was
that.
very hot. It was very hot.
If you have two Chris's and one of them is Hemmingsworth and one of them is Pratt, I mean, you
It's a good
can't go
day.
wrong.
It's a good day.
I do like Chris Pratt. I think he's very, very, very charming. Chris Hemsworth, though, is brilliantly comedic.
I think so. Definitely. It's funny because there's a lot of people that are that you don't really see. So what's interesting is when I was talking to a lot of the cast and the stars coming down the line, many of them just being naturally funny and some being a little bit more shy and some people that just are all out there. So yeah, it was always it's funny that actors are just like everybody else that you meet in life. You're going to have the people who are going to kind of mold into the situation. Some people that are just going to stay back a little bit. So
It's interesting in which I'm fortunate enough that I interview a lot of voice actors, and I've gotten to interview some high profile wrestlers, and some of them are just brilliant, brilliant. Show people, and you get to speak to them afterwards, and some of them are that way in real life, and it's very cool when you realize somebody's not playing a character anymore, and that's who they are,
mhm.
and it's amazing. And there are people who praise Chris Daniels as that, and he is like the arguably the greatest wrestler in the world for that because he is exactly who he says he is on air and
Mhm.
off air. I would imagine that John Cena is the same way.
I
That
would imagine so.
that guy seems to be what he presents 24/7, and he's a beast. Amazing.
Definitely.
Especially when he comes out to a Roger Clemens, wearing a Roger Clemens jersey in Boston. Oh, that's a new level. That's a new level. That's a new level. But I digress because I do want to talk about our mutual friend, Chief Geek Photography.
Oh yeah,
That was a fun
Brandon.
interview. That was a fun interview. Very cool interview that I did with him.
Yeah,
Um,
he's just like that in real life too, as entertaining as can be.
mm. So I think did he shoot the Rogue stuff?
I'm sorry? Yes, he took yes. So everything that you see online, except for maybe a few pictures here and there, he is the photographer on Rogue. Actually, a majority, actually, probably almost all of my photos that I have up. He's just a fantastic photographer, fantastic cosplayer, fantastic fan of just geek culture itself. And but yeah, whenever we
I
have
know
the
he has a
opportunity to
Tesla,
shoot
which
something,
is okay.
the
So
what?
so he has a Tesla. Yeah, I would prefer
Yes,
if he had a Dodge Challenger.
that if
He needs
he
a little bit more vroom vroom. Tesla. I'm sorry. It's a nice car, but it's not the car.
I don't know, when you get that G-force when you do the launch.
Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. When I get my Dodge Challenger 19 horsepower, I'll smoke his Tesla, and then
Alright,
but
let's
we'll
try it
see.
out.
He won't get a ticket. I will, but we'll see who wins the race. Um, he knows that joke was coming. He
I
knows that joke was
yes,
coming.
definitely.
My orange Dodge Challenger next to his black Tesla is gonna look really cool.
Well, orange is definitely a favorite color amongst them, so
Nice mango freaking Dodge Challenger at SRT. Oh, it's 19 horsepower, guys. I mean, you can't beat it. You can't beat it. And that's not even me supercharging it. Oh my God. Oh, that's gonna. I'm gonna get so many tickets in that car. It's gonna be so sick. Sir, you were driving 5 miles, but it looked like you're going 90. Oh, it's gonna be good. I'm gonna be pulled
Well,
over. Sir, I don't want to give you a ticket. I just want to see what's under your hood.
well, I actually had the honor, once upon a time, I worked with the auto industry. So, and I worked with Honda and Nissan and various people, and so you betcha that I've driven a GTR and I've driven track edition on a track with professional drivers, and I tell you, there's nothing as fearsome and death-defying as trying to, let somebody else drive a car over 200 miles an hour.
I've not driven that. I've driven over 100 miles in a car. A lot of fun. On a straightaway, oof, down the road where nobody's on it. Oh, it's beautiful. You just keep going. Just it's a lot of fun. Oh, feel it. I'm like, driving's fun. But I've seen some nice cars. I was very fortunate that I live in Connecticut and there's a car show, and
Nice.
what was there was the uh Orange County Choppers Spider-Man motorcycle.
Oh, how cool.
So some guy bought it, the one, and he bought it, and I got to see it. I have pictures of it, and very cool thing, and super cool bike. And I would not be surprised if it's at Barra Jackson down in Florida in a few years from now. Would not be surprised. And who knows if I have enough money, maybe I'll buy it. But all jokes aside, what is it really like shooting with him? Because obviously, Chief Geek Photography is very good at what he does. He's a very
Mm,
good photographer. He's also a. I'm trying to figure out how he understands how to shoot something, if that makes any sense. And he also knows how to meet the person where they're at. Is a good way to put it. And
yeah.
he also is not going to ask a cosplayer to do something that he can't model himself.
Well, like I said, from personal experience, it's, like I said, I've always had a hard time be in front of the camera. And one thing that he does is that he makes everybody feel at ease. He's so funny. He gets people to open up and be comfortable with themselves in the moment and seeing how that they can work together. So if there's going to be a smile, it's going to be a real smile because it's just the energy that he portrays when he's taking those pictures and when he's getting those shots. And being creative as much as you want to be and see how you can make it work. Go shoot in the snow. Okay, let's do it. Like, oh, you want to go to an alleyway in the back of some broken down building? Let's go do it. It's just about, or one of his other ones, which I really love, is that there was a shoot with Hawkeye and Deadpool, and the infamous photo of, Deadpool coming off, the cliff, and, Hawkeye shooting at him, and they were able to get that. It's just because everybody is working with everybody, and he just has a really great talent of how it's going to work and how to make it work. It's not, like I said, he problem solves the situation, and he does it. But I think a lot of it just has to do with his personality and his joy of seeing other cosplayers be happy. He wants to see their delighted faces. He wants to see the finished product of and them enjoying it, and then seeing how other people like it. And that's, I think, what any photographer wants. But like I said, the fact that he just makes people at
It's
ease of the situation.
it's very interesting because I hate to say this, but I don't know if every photographer wants that. I really don't, and here's
Oh,
why. I think that it goes back to what's happened with a lot of these top cosplayers, where they now
mm,
Patreons, OnlyFans, loyal fans, ManyVids, whatever you want to call it, and they have a lot of paywall stuff. And I think a lot of photographers, are caught up in that trap where there's massive monetization, and now who are you shooting? So I
mhm,
speak to a lot of male cosplayers, and I really try to make an effort. And I've had two male cosplayers. I'm not going to mention who they are, but I'm close with them, and they had a hard time when they were doing calendars and finding people to shoot for them. They were having a hard time finding
mm,
photographers. And I think that it's not every photographer is like, Chief Geek Photography. I think it's actually few and far between. I really do. And I'm not in the space, but just from what I hear, it is very hard. And one of my friends is obviously out in California, the other's in New York City. So there's not a lack of photographers in either of those places. As far as shooting cosplay, it's relatively, I think, a pretty populated area for that. And both DJ, who had some issues with photographers, and my other friend Cap, I don't think they're gonna mind me saying it at this point, because it's not secret, had a really hard time. And a lot of male cosplayers wouldn't shoot with Cap Santiago on his calendar, and it was like, what the hell? And so I don't know. I mean, from what I've heard, I don't think every photographer is like that, but I could be wrong. But that's just
No,
what I
I
heard.
I don't think every photographer, I mean, everybody, photographers all have their different ideals of what they want to put out, and then, um, I yes, he is unique in that sense that he just wants what the person is going to want and like, and he doesn't care who it is, and he's happy to support anyone and everyone. And the ones I'm talking about are the ones that show up to the cons. There's so many photographers that ask me, "Hey, can I get a great shot with you?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm dressed up. Let's do it." So let's see how it is. And many of them, they get back to me and they share their work with me, and they can't wait for me to, see if I might be able to share it with other people as well. When you start going into more of the privatized situation, I think that's a little bit more prevalent because it is a job. I mean, a lot of the people who are the photographers, especially at the cosplay events, that's their passion. So you have the cosplayers that are having their passion, you have the photographers of their passions, you have the artists that's their passion. So everybody is there joining in their passions. So I don't think you run it as much into that kind of that feeling there. But with Brandon, with Chief Geek Photography, he just takes it up another level, another notch of just making sure everybody feels included.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I mean, me and him spent a lot of time talking about a lot of things. And I'm surprised that me and him weren't canceled throughout half the things we were talking about. But that's what happens. That's what happens. I don't shy away from
Mm.
anything anymore. I am more than happy to share my opinions, and so be it. If I don't get invited to a DC Marvel premiere, I'll sleep perfectly fine at night. Um, I'll just have to buy their company instead. I'll buy a board seat. That's what I'll do, and then I'll invite myself to the event. It'll be funny. How'd you get here, Andrew? Oh, I sit on the board. Oh, makes sense. It's kind of like that commercial where the guy is playing third base in the baseball team and he's really bad at it. He's like, "Who's the third baseman, and why is he really bad at it? And why is he on the team?" Well, he bought the team yesterday. Um, it's a great commercial for so many reasons. Um, but I will buy my way into these premieres. So I'll give them a choice. They'll have a choice. You could invite me now, or I could buy my way in. It's up to them. Not that hard to buy your way in. It only take a few billion. See, you laugh, and then I'm gonna do it, and it's like, God damn it! How did it's
Just
like
remember me when.
it's like the Toshiba Handybook, guys. It does everything the iPad can do at half the price. but
There we go.
but enough about my comedy hour. That is Friday night, everybody. I will definitely not be appropriate when I am doing stand up. Um, definitely because well, I'm going to be sitting down doing it. So there you go. Um, that's just such an easy joke. Um, but I do want to talk about the future of cosplay with you before I give you a chance to self promote.
Sure.
Stuff has happened in the last 3 years in cosplay. We touched on gatekeeping coming down. A lot of power shifts have occurred. I think a lot of normalization, or not the monetization has calmed down, but I think more players have entered. And I'm a big believer, and this is where we get controversial, that the top 50 cosplayers have actually lost market share and have
Mhm.
lost revenue. And there's a bunch of new kids coming up. And there's also a bunch of people where, I mean, Hot Topic has taken a step away from big influencers and has gone down to people who have less than 20,000 followers.
Yep,
And that's a massive shift.
that is.
It's a massive shift. in influencers and cosplayers. And I think that's all a positive thing. And I think it opens up, I guess, ability and opportunity for more people to be discovered and
Mhm.
realized and across everything. And so I'm curious where you see it going on a con level, on an influencer level, opportunity level, because I don't think the top 50 have, as I stated this before, and I know I repeated myself several times, have the power they had 3, 4 years ago. I think their power has been massively diminished, and there's a reason why a lot of them don't share how many likes they got on Instagram on certain posts, and they're also doing a lot of collaborations with each other. And it's crystal clear to me what's going on.
Well, I think because it is being more accepted and more people are coming out there and the creativity is coming out and the accessibility is there, like we were mentioning before. What I see in the future for cosplay at cons, I'm hoping I see a lot more people cosplaying as their favorite characters. I look forward to it. I appreciate it. I am their biggest fans. And especially for those who are just feeling shy about it and just stepping into that light again, I can see that, that trend of support going on amongst us all now. So that hot topic trend, I've seen people do that. I've seen people be those influencers for name brands out there. And why? Because people are starting to look up to them and they can see that there's this possibility there. And you trust somebody that is going to be showing off something that you possibly might like, that you can be on a personal level versus on a level that's unattainable and untouchable and unreachable. Um, so I see a lot of that going on, which is great. I value people's opinions, and if they're going to be giving me a suggestion based off something that they know, I'm going to take that to heart. And I can't have that unless I'm having a conversation with the person themselves, not with an image, not with a marketing plan that they have. So as far as kind of like the professionalism, I think a lot of that's going to go again more towards possibly um, especially at the cons, maybe some of the booths, they still have the booths, they still do the different things, and people are still going to go to those. But I think people are now going to start be doing their own things and maybe not as frequent as a cosplayer, maybe just as a fan. And um, probably for the panels, I think it might be more of that limelight as far as some of the top 50s. You're going to still have people come to those with those panels, but there's so many fabulous panels now that are out there all the time. People creating them ones. I know Brandon, Chief Geek Photography, is trying to get one on mental health and how important that is, especially in this community. And so I think that you're going to start seeing a lot of those topics and people starting to gravitate towards those, and a lot of the cosplay panels as well. There's some that are there's specifically a panel for over 30 cosplay. So you have a lot of us people in there that are like supporting each other and having a great time and taking pictures like, oh, wow, that looks great on you. So, um, and as far as like online goes, uh, you're I think it's right now, especially with reels and being based, there's a lot of comedy out there. I think people are starting to be a little bit more creative, and you'll see people that might only have a couple hundred followers put out this fabulous reel. Next thing you know, they're blowing up because they put out something that everybody can relate to and appreciate. So, creativity and ingenuity is all where it's at when cosplay. And I think a lot of people are just doing it for fun, which is great, because that's what it should be. I love the fun factor of it. And then for the people that are wanting to take it to those next steps and serious levels, they're in the right format. They're doing Instagram, they're doing TikTok, they're getting out to people that are going to appreciate the content, and that's where it's at. It's not just a photo anymore. It's not just a booth anymore. It's not just posing a picture. It's the content.
Well, I think they're going to lose market share because I am a strong believer in blue ocean strategies, not red ocean strategies. And I think the top 50 have lost connection with the base. I
Hmm.
really believe that. And I smell blood in the water. And I think there's going to be the top over 30 cosplayers, the top 40, over 40, 50 plus year old cosplayers, and 60 plus year old cosplayers. And I think they're going to take market share because there's no competition. And I think it is long overdue. And there's a reason why I'm shifting and interviewing. And it's going to sound messed up, and I'll take the heat for it. I'm interviewing a lot more male cosplayers now, and I'm interviewing a
Sure.
lot more older cosplayers because I see the writing on the wall. I see it that this is the next big thing, and I got a feeling that out of nowhere you're going to have this whole shift of people who are 35 and older, 40 plus years and older, and they're really talented cosplayers. And all of a sudden, a bunch of you are going to blow up out of nowhere, and people are going to be like, where the fuck did they come from? And it's coming, and I really believe it. And I think it's going to catch a lot of the top 50 cosplayers off guard because when they enter their 40s and they become that age, they're not going to realize that the community has been there and that they're not in the right spot and that somebody else in their 20s is trying to take their spot. And that's why this is going to blow up. And that's what I believe.
Yep.
And I
Yep.
see it. I see it miles out.
There's this movie. It's called younger people haven't probably seen it. It's called Fried Green Tomatoes. And there's
I
this
know the movie. I know
yeah, the scene where she's coming out of the grocery store and there's these two young women, or she's pulling into the parking spot. She's waiting for a parking spot. The car pulls out, and then these two young people and their rabbit comes and pulls in right before she can. And then she's like, Tawanda! And she goes and smashes their car in and everything from behind. And they're like, you're crazy. Face it, ladies. They're like, face it, ladies. I'm older and I have more insurance. Well, people my age, we're older, but we have a lot of experience and been there, done that. We know how to talk to people and get things done. And we might be in that point in the life where we can start affording some of those things. So we're just to the point where we're having fun. My kids are older. Mine are 23 and 25. I'm having fun.
I see the writing on the wall, and it's not that hard to see it. And I'll be very honest. I'm smart enough to bet, and on my show, and this area is only going to get bigger. And and
Okay.
and, and I'm purposely racking up guests, and it's selfish, and I got no problem admitting this publicly. Is I get that the future is that 35-year-old plus 40-year-old plus cosplayer, and it's an untapped market, and it's not here today, but in 3 4 5 years from now it is going to be the hottest topic on the market in cosplay. There's no question about it. It's crystal clear. And if people aren't seeing it, I don't know what to say. It's coming, and I know it's coming, and I'm getting ahead of the curve on it purposely.
Well,
And
I'm
I
glad
don't
I could be
know
there for
who
it.
is superstar out of the bunch of you, but there's going to be a bunch of 40 plus year old cosplayers who become superstars overnight. And it's going to be like, and I'm going to be interviewing a few of them just by nature. And there's a reason why I'm purposely shifting because I see it. It's not that hard to see it. And I'm telling you, it's coming. I don't know who exactly it's coming for, but there's going to be in the next 3 4 5 years, 10 out of the top 50 cosplayers are going to be over 40. And they're not currently in that top 50 spot. It's crystal clear. And I'm willing to put real money on it. Like
Well, I can't
I'm willing
wait
to
to
put
see it.
like 10 grand on it without a doubt.
All right, you heard it here.
And when I'm right, everybody's like, yeah, he was right. But anyway, I've been speaking enough. We've been speaking enough. I know I kept you a little longer than you probably wanted, which is fine. Maybe for me. I don't want to speak for you, but I do want to give you a chance to self promote yourself. Where could people find you, bother you, follow you on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all that stuff? I don't know if you have a shop, an Etsy, buy me a coffee. You know, I would say loyal fans, but I highly doubt it.
I'm a
Hey,
simple
hey,
girl.
I don't judge. I don't judge. I'm
I
not.
don't either. To each their own, whatever makes you happy. But no, I'm pretty simple girl. My main platform is typically Instagram. I do have a TikTok that I'm trying to build up a little bit more with videos. You could probably see me some there. And I do have a Twitter, but I haven't used that in ages. And I think it's under like a different tag that I used to use. It was more for my journalistic days back when I was doing SDCC and other cons. And so you'll see like tips on how to navigate, the convention and everything, all that, how to find a hotel. And so I did a lot of those things, but you also find like interviews where I did with Gail Simone and Dan Didio and even Stan Lee and Lou Ferrigno. That was like my favorite interview that I ever did. But so but yeah, Instagram at Ange the Geek and underscore at the very end. But if you start putting in my name, you're gonna see me. You're gonna see my little Emma Frost that you had put up here. That is the same one that is at both my TikTok and Instagram. I don't have any stores, like I said. This has been kind of like a fun thing for me. So it's just kind of like going forward and seeing what I want to do with it. But I will be at most probably Southern California cons this year. I'm going to be trying to hit as many as I can to just go enjoy myself and enjoy all the amazing cosplayers and artists out there and creators. So,
And I've been saying it almost 4 years, guys. 4 years, and I keep saying it. You have to support indie. You have to support
mhm.
cosplayers. And the way you do that is if they have PayPal, buy me coffees, if they have merch, if they have stores, if they're going to be at a con, say hi to them. And most importantly, you need to follow them on social media and interact with them on social media because it makes a huge difference. And social media is free. And so following somebody on Instagram, it's not going to cost you a penny, and you should like their pictures. Say, "Oh, awesome cosplay." It goes a long way, and it affects the algorithm that Instagram has, and you never know who is going to see it. And it can make a huge difference in a cosplayer's life and in their profession and even in their growth. And it's a big deal. So you should do that if you like what a cosplayer is putting out there. Um, and it's probably the cheapest and most efficient way how to support them. As far as I'm concerned, I am Pop Anime Comics on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Very cool in that regard. Please subscribe on YouTube. Follow me on social media, interact with me. I love interactions. I like when people love me, hate me, want to have a conversation. I'm more than down to talk about anything. I like debating people. So if you really feel passionate about a topic and want to debate me on a Friday night, I'm more than happy to host a debate with you, me, and anybody else. And we can make it a common hangout. We can do whatever we want. I would say we would drink, but maybe we'll do that after we're off air and we'll have a private second debate, have a good time. More than happy to entertain that thought. But also, if you want to support independent media, I have Buy Me a Coffee. It's not necessary, but if you want to support independent media, or if you have a product and want to advertise on the show, I do offer ad spots as well. It's in the description down below. Or if you are a huge Gundam fan like I am, I have a Gundam t-shirt making fun of Taco Bell, Londo Bell, Gundam, the most interesting man in the world, and Fallout. So I'm making fun of a lot of stuff in there. And I got still 10 shirts before I can reveal my next design. So please go buy my shirt, everybody. So I could actually have some very cool shirts coming. I have a Char shirt coming that's somewhat done, and it's going to be a fun one. But I got to sell like 10 shirts, guys. So if you're a Gundam fan and you want to make fun of things, you could go do that. It's Redbubble. It's 16 different colors. You choose the color. And that's everything I got. And on that note, I am going to give you the final word.
Well, I just thank you for having me on tonight and being able to share what I feel cosplay is all about and like. I just want to make sure that everybody knows out there that if you feel like you want to start to cosplay and you want to talk about it, that's what I'm here for. I always tell people when I'm at the con, say hi to me, please. I am here to be your support as well. So please make sure that if you ever see me or you see me online, say hi.
I don't think I could have said that any better myself, everybody. And that is a wrap.